Let me quickly cut across to our guests joining us to give us an insight into what's happening in different parts of Ukraine. We have Alex Zavrazny, who's currently in Kremenchuk. He's in fact fled from Kharkiv. We also have Anna Basova, senior journalist, a TV journalist in Kyiv, and Dmytro Shmykhiv, who is also the chairman of Ukraine Pharma Company. Let me cut across to Anna. Anna, we know that in fact, 40-mile-long Russian convoy has been trying to encircle Kyiv. These are reports coming in, but no confirmation as yet. Would you know what are those movements that have been reported from the outside of Kyiv, as Russian forces, we understand, have regrouped and fanned out to try and encircle several cities, including Kyiv?
Oh, yes. Hello, thank you for having me here. Currently, I cannot confirm you that Kyiv is being encircled, both according to the atmosphere inside and to the messages coming from outside, because I communicate regularly with territorial defense, with some sources, official sources in our armed forces, etc., etc. You see me now, I'm standing not far from my home.
Right.
It's left bank of Dnieper River in Kyiv. Here the atmosphere is relatively calm. We don't hear shellings. One air siren woke me up early in the morning at 8 o'clock, but now it is over. We have received the message that you can go out of your shelters. From the first point of view, it seems as if nothing is happening, but the streets are half empty, although it's a typical Friday morning, and if there was no war, people would have been rushing.
Right.
The banks do not work, neither do various clothes shops, boutiques, and even those selling stationery. Not every drugstore works, just some.
Can we see what's in front of you? Can you show us the atmosphere around? We know that there's an eerie calm there. And like you rightly said, Anna, if it wasn't for the war that's currently being unleashed on Ukraine, it would have been a very bustling city. The capital city of Kyiv, we know, is populous, it's bustling, it's commercial. On a day like this, a regular Friday like this, you'd see people out in numbers on the streets. But today we see quite an empty street there. Can you show us around, please?
Yeah, the streets are quite empty, just some people walking, and behind my back you can see a restaurant, of Eastern Kitchen, I mean Uzbek, etc., etc. Now it's closed. You see? The door is closed.
Yeah.
And I'll make just some dozens of meters. I'll walk forward and I'll show you that the banks are not working either. And even some of the points of currency exchange are also closed. So,
yeah, we see businesses completely shut down, entirely shut down. But when it comes to aid, how is it that you all are accessing it? Because we hear even President Zelensky, who's said that Russian forces are targeting humanitarian aid. This is the allegation that Zelensky has made. How true is that? Are you all able to receive aid in time?
Zelensky is absolutely right at this point. Fortunately, in Kyiv, we do not need that so urgently. And in Kyiv and in the district, particularly where I live, supermarkets are functioning and drugstores are functioning. And a couple of minutes before your call, I saw a car with humanitarian aid arriving just at my gate, bringing children nurture and nutrition and something like that. But if we are talking about humanitarian aid distributed to the besieged cities of Mariupol, of Ohtirka, of Irpin, yes, it is being permanently targeted. In Kherson as well, that is currently occupied. And Russians at first promised a ceasefire. But as soon as the humanitarian aid is started being delivered, they start targeting people, targeting humanitarian aid, and instead when our convoys just have to escape from the direct missile fire, they bring their own humanitarian aid, Russian aid, to Melitopol, to Mariupol, to Kherson, and they start distributing their own aid from Russia, claiming that Ukrainians do not help their citizens. Ukrainian authorities, Russians who came to so-called free us from Nazism, that they distribute humanitarian goods. That is how they try to abuse with their propaganda to broadcast it on their state media. That is how
we got your point. Anna, stay with us. I'll take that question to Dmytro Shimkiv, who's the chairman of the Ukraine pharma company, Darnitsa. Dmytro, here Anna says humanitarian aid is being targeted by Russian forces. Would you believe that that's the fact on ground in several besieged cities? We know there's aid that's urgently needed in cities like Mariupol, in Kyiv. What do you see happening on ground? Are you able to access it?
Thank you very much for having me. Darnitsa has been working since the beginning of the war. We continue to ship pharmaceutical product and being the biggest pharmaceutical company in Ukraine, we continue to operate. I have 150 people at the plant, which is located in Kyiv, including 37 kids in my shelter. We continue to produce. We currently moving to 2 shifts because there is huge demand. We are shipping to Kharkiv. We are shipping to Mariupol. I can confirm that our car was shelled by Russians' artillery. We continue to try to get our medicine to Mariupol. Previously, we've been able to go through, despite the shelling, etc. We're currently struggling to get to Chernihiv. We are sending our envoys to Sumy and other regions. We continue to ship, but we need. I am here to confirm that Russia and Russian soldiers are shelling in the cars that carry red crosses. This is confirmed, and this is a genocide and violation of any treaties in the war.
Well, it's very unfortunate, Dmytro, that so far talks between both the foreign ministers hasn't borne fruit. There's no headway even when it comes to a ceasefire request. The Ukrainian foreign minister claims that he's not got a positive response, while you have the President Zelensky as well as yourself, who is the chairman of the Ukrainian pharma company, confirming that a lot of humanitarian aid is being targeted at. An appeal that you would like to make, even as we see several civilians who are currently bearing the brunt of it, are in urgent need of that kind of aid but aren't able to access it because of this kind of constant attack on those vehicles carrying that aid for them.
Exactly. If I can confirm additional crimes when the Russian tanks and Russian military gets into the villages, they are entering the villages, they are shooting with their high caliber guns into the buildings because they're trying to scare people, targeting civilians. In the Kharkiv, next to the Kyiv, when the people try to evacuate by their cars, there is they were shooting with the tanks into the cars that are moving. When the people were killed and somebody tried to rescue, the snipers been shooting in the people. I can confirm it because I was personally on the call with the people who've been shot, targeted, etc. We've been involved in trying to evacuate some of the people, etc. So this is confirmed. Russian soldiers are shooting into the civilians. They are shooting into the doctors. They are shooting in the convoy. This is confirmed across multiple cities: Chernihiv, Sumy, Kharkiv, Mariupol, and Akhtirka, and so on. This is confirmed. The same happened with Kherson. They are blocking access of any envoys to Kherson. This is, I confirm and reaffirm, there should be a strong standing of international community, including all around the world, particularly demanding the green corridors for delivering of humanitarian aid to citizens, to people, to everyone who is currently targeted by Russian rockets.
It's highly unfortunate, but stay with us. Alexei Zavrazny, in fact, he's fled from Kharkiv, currently in Kremenchuk. We see he has a baby with him as well. Alexei, who's that baby? Is that yours?
Yeah, that's my daughter. She's 10 months old.
She's adorable. And I'm so glad that both of you are safe. Alexei, we believe that you fled from Kharkiv with your family.
Yeah, we drive in a car from Kharkiv to Poltava, had a night in Poltava, and then moved to Kremenchuk. We decided to move because it was too dangerous. We were in Kharkiv for seven nights of war, and we've decided to leave the Kharkiv because I saw personally bombs dropping near my house, 700 meters from my house. So I realized that the cost of this life, young life, is way bigger than staying in Kharkiv.
Absolutely.
So right now we are safe. It was safe before until yesterday, because yesterday I heard the air raid siren very first time in Kremenchuk, and that I saw people on the streets who was living their regular life, who never heard air raid siren before. They were scared. They were just, scared. I saw almost tears in their eyes. And the same was actually for me. So
we can understand the kind of concern that you have for your little baby girl there. She's such a lovely child, and I'm so glad that you all are safe and have relocated to Kremenchuk. But you say that Kremenchuk also, you hear some kind of firing and shelling that's just about begun. Is that right? And
no,
if you can...
no, I haven't heard any firing or shelling in Kremenchuk. Just air raid siren.
Right.
So government turns it on when there is a chance of bombing in radius, I don't know, maybe 100 kilometers around city.
Right.
So they just preventing civilians, from this bombing.
Absolutely. I mean, this is almost an alert for all of you to stay indoors. We believe that's what it is. But, Kremenchuk, you say so far has been safe, but how did you manage to relocate? When you tried to escape from Kharkiv, was it an easy journey altogether to come to reach Kremenchuk? If you can give us an insight into how you've managed to travel with your family and that young baby with you.
Yeah, these days, starting from the very first day of the war, a lot of people trying to escape from Kharkiv. I saw personally, and I was a part of long queues on block posts of people trying to escape from Kharkiv. Kilometers of traffic jams, of 4 or 5 lanes of cars,
right,
who's trying to full of people. Full of stuff, full of animals, full of kids. I saw a lot of cars, including mine, that had kids sign on all 4 sides of the car to indicate to Russian troopers that we have kids aboard. Please don't shoot us. And I hope that protected us. And I saw hundreds, thousands of cars, just literally tens of thousands of cars, 12 kilometers traffic jam in the middle of, between Kharkiv and Poltava.
Right.
The distance between Kharkiv and Poltava is about 200 kilometers, 180 kilometers. And usually that route takes, maybe just an hour and a half. But we spent 8 hours on that travel, and Kremenchuk and Poltava Kremenchuk, we also met traffic jam. So the road was faster for us, but other people who departed later. So we departed at 6:30 a.m. from Poltava, but people who departed, let's say 7:30 a.m. they met long traffic jams. Maybe the same 10-15 kilometers traffic jam of cars who are trying to escape from Kharkiv. I saw a lot of cars with license plates from Kharkiv region.
Right.
You see, I even met friends in that traffic jam from Kharkiv. So I saw no issues passing through block posts, Ukrainian block posts.
Okay.
True military block posts with all the things that you usually see during the war. I saw a lot of scared kids, 7 years, 10 years old kids who saw these things.
Something that they never would have to see, unfortunately, that they've been witness to that. Your child is safe and so are you, and that's what we're really thankful for. Stay with us. Let me cut across to Anna Basova. Anna, we know that in cities like Mariupol, where there's been constant bombarding, several hospitals that were targeted too, we see a really dire and desperate humanitarian crisis unfolding there. A lot of humanitarian aid hasn't been able to reach there in time, and reports coming in suggesting that people are fighting amongst themselves for food. It's such a desperate situation. How is the government there helping? How are citizens helping and stepping up?
Yes, humanitarian crisis there is unfolding. Moreover, I heard numerous messages that there is no constant water supply and electricity. As well as the maternity and children's hospital was also shelled. That is a total disaster. I cannot confirm that people are fighting among themselves for food. Probably they are. I don't know personally. But our government is trying to send humanitarian aid once more, and they're constantly negotiating with the occupants to let the humanitarian through, to open a green corridor, or that would be the best, to let people evacuate and to escape from the besieged city.
Right.
As far as I know, numerous negotiations have failed so far. As I told already, Russians promised a ceasefire, but after all, they simply do not keep their promise. They violate their promise, and that's it.
Right.
What's gonna happen, nobody knows.
Yeah,
but what I know for sure is that
we see that civilians are anticipating the worst. Anna, you, along with several others, including Alexei and Dmitro, are staying put in your respective cities. You are, of course, standing up, trying to fight for your own country. And it's highly unfortunate that several people there who have no help are being left to fend for themselves, even as the Russian military is only building up, regrouping, and have redeployed all along your border areas. We're going to continue tracking those developments, but thank you very much for joining us. Really appreciate your time.